Have you ever felt an inexplicable pull towards a place? Or you've met someone for the first time and there's this deep soul connection between you two that you can't explain? Perhaps there's an underlying fear that you can't quite understand where it's coming from. Or you keep running into the same storyline, same circumstances, different faces, different people, but the results are the same over and over again, regardless of how much transforming, understanding, learning that you do, it still repeats over and over again. These aren't coincidences. They are your soul echoing, pointing you to, whispering to you, showing you that there's something deeper you need to be looking at, sitting with, listening to. Often, when we find ourselves in situations that are repetitive and we have done the conventional work to try to get to the root cause of them so we can learn and expand and stop the repetitive patterning that perhaps are unfavorable and we're desiring to experience life differently. These are often past life traumas that our soul is pointing to, and it is necessary for us to do deeper investigation on a heart level, on a soul level, on a somatic level, to really touch those lives and learn the lessons, integrate all aspects of ourselves back into the present moment. And sometimes these are blockages and these are traumas. And sometimes these are actually gifts and powerful soul pieces that are necessary to come back into integration. So sometimes you are dealing with more difficult storylines to transform, learn the lesson, integrate back, and receive the love and light that is trapped in those circumstances, in those storylines, in that timeline, in that past life. And sometimes it is the remembering of who you've been, what you have learned, what you have achieved, and bringing that integration into the present life. And the beautiful thing is, the first step is bringing awareness to that lifetime, to these past lives. And once you bring that awareness to those lifetimes, then healing becomes easily accessible. And in this video, we're going to journey through how to recognize when your soul is pointing you to pause, to stay present, and to start listening and asking the right questions to discover if this is connected to a past life trauma or a past life integration that's necessary, bringing soul pieces, consciousness, aspects of you back for full integration. And then learning the steps that are necessary to heal, to transform, to integrate, to be fully embodied and in your true power, living the version of you that is one with your desires and manifestations that you are looking to accomplish in this lifetime. Because when healing happens deep within, you become a magnetic pole. You become this beautiful magnet for all that you desire, just by simply being. And that being, that essence, that frequency that now you hum at, brings forth inspiration, effortlessness, and action and motivation, accompanied with attraction that fulfills you, that motivates you, that brings you the umph to live your life from the most delicious, inspired, satisfying place. Past life traumas are unhealed emotional wounds, psychological and mental imprints on the soul's blueprint that carries forward to this lifetime. They are generally as a result of extreme circumstances in a soul's experience, such as devastating loss or emotional and physical trauma that was so severe that it got caught in the blueprint, and the soul, as it was transitioning out of the body into the spirit realm, couldn't let go of it, couldn't transform it, couldn't find peace with it. Anything that we have not found peace with, we have not learned a lesson and transformed it back into the higher frequencies of our soul's blueprint as we are transitioning into the spirit realm. That becomes a past life trauma and imprint that carries forward into this lifetime. If it doesn't carry forward into this lifetime, those become soul pieces that become fragmented and stay in between realms, and either they hang out on their own, or most likely they will integrate with other entities and learn the lesson on different levels, either in between third and fourth dimension, or if it's more ideal, then they will go into fourth and fifth dimensions, and higher beings will collect them to help them learn the lessons. If the soul doesn't find that integration and allow all of its soul pieces to come into this lifetime, then as we are doing past life regression work, then what we want to first bring awareness to is the wounding that actually comes from past life. Be able to touch that lifetime, the storyline around it, what the lesson around that storyline is, and then to call forth those soul pieces around that storyline. And as you're doing this past life regression work, it's really important, in case there was fragmentation and the soul pieces that carried forward into this lifetime that still hold the frequency of that past life, right? But they're still with you, they're just at a very different frequency, so they can't integrate, they're in fragmentation. We also need to call forth any soul pieces that are within different realms, within different, like, third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimensions, and not fully here to integrate. Make sure that all of those soul pieces, as they integrate back into us, or as they adjust their frequencies back into the soul's blueprint, and that they adjust and come back into alignment, clearing everything and anything that is not of that soul piece, that is not part of the new frequency, the new version, making sure that's fully filtered before it completely integrates back into the present moment. And as you learn the lesson, as you have the ahas and the understanding and really see it for what it is, and it no longer holds power over you because of amnesia, or because the trauma or the fear or that storyline is still holding on to you as a part of your identity. Sometimes in the process of amnesia, we forget the level of work we've done and the level of cultivation we've done in our past lives. And then in this lifetime, as we are looking to cultivate and develop our gifts, we don't actually have to do the same level of work of cultivation for self-realization. And past life regression work can support us in the integration of bringing those soul pieces that are ready to integrate into our present consciousness in that higher vibration. And how that is achieved is by remembering the lifetimes where we had experienced self-realization, the blueprint of the soul at a much higher consciousness. In the present moment, we upgrade the rest of our soul pieces, the rest of our presence, into the soul pieces that have already achieved that. And in that process of integration, we take a leap. There's a leap in consciousness and awareness, and our gifts slowly integrating into the present moment and being accessible to us in the present moment. So sometimes it's wounding that needs to heal. Sometimes it's remembering of our authentic presence. That is the healing. That is the remedy for us to come into a deeper alignment with ourselves. There are 5 common past life traumas that I see in practice, often blocking someone from being able to manifest the life of their dreams. The first common one is a sudden loss of someone that is beloved. The sudden loss of someone close to you in a past life will often show up in story themes as loving relationships that are either codependent and do not have healthy boundaries, or they're relationships that dependency is required. Meaning codependent relationship would be either a codependent love partnership or a codependency between an adult mother and child, where now no one should be dependent on the other person, but there's an unhealthy codependency. Or it's usually a child or the mother of a child, right? So there's that dependency because the child isn't at a place where they're able to survive on their own. So usually in relationships like that, there's always a strong psychic cord until that child is in a place where they're independent, and that agreement of being a caretaker and a guide to that child isn't there anymore. So the psychic cord hasn't severed yet. When there is either a healthy or an unhealthy psychic cord between 2 people in a lifetime, when there's a sudden loss and a sudden death, and obviously all the emotions of grief and shock that would come up with that experience, but beyond it, there could be the possibility of one giving their life force, their essence, their soul pieces to the being that is in transition, or vice versa, wanting to stay in that person's life. So 2 souls as one transitions, it's not a complete transition. Some form of exchange happens. Either the essence, soul pieces, life force of the one that's still living continues into the spirit that's transitioning and goes out of the third plane or the earthly plane, depending on where they are in vibration. Or the person, the being that's leaving, they will leave some of their essence, some of their soul pieces through that psychic cord with the person that's still staying, even though they won't fully be able to integrate them into that physical body. They will hover around in the auric field and stay attached through psychic cords or the receptor centers of the psychic cords, because they will be severed. And that, with that exchange, the storyline of the shock, of the loss, stays alive, and it doesn't allow the capacity to fully heal, because the only way the soul pieces stay in exchange is that they're still reliving that same frequency and that same storyline, right? They're in a loop. And so now that doesn't necessarily mean that soul on earth living that life doesn't continue moving on through their consciousness and they're just stuck, but it does mean a part of them stays caught in that. Now, whether that's conscious or unconscious, and that moves into the next lifetime. And in the next lifetime, what often will show up for that spirit is a deep fear of abandonment, holding people at an arm's length because of that deep fear of abandonment. Or it can show up as deep codependency behavior in relationship, and being clingy and not being distant but overly protective or overly attached, not having sacred boundaries with their partner, not having agency over their own energetic field, still being in the loop of that codependent relationship with someone else. It could be in partnership, it could be with family members or friendships. It could be a theme throughout all relationships. And one clue that this is a past life trauma is that regardless of what conventional therapeutic work that you do, it doesn't seem to make a difference. It doesn't touch it, because the root of this trauma patterning doesn't live in this lifetime. It is part of a past lifetime. And that past lifetime awareness needs to be brought to, soul pieces need to be brought back to its right place. Exchange needs to happen, healing needs to happen, understanding of agency over one's energy field, over one's protection, transforming sorrow, grief, coming back into love and light, and the heart opening again to oneself, to one's love that is one with the source of all love and all light, that overpours into all love, all loving relationship in the most healthiest way needs to happen. The second storyline I come across past life traumas in practice that are blocking someone's capacity to fully manifest the life of their dreams is storylines around scarcity, around poverty, around famine, homelessness, extreme lack of resources to be able to meet the basic needs of survival. This group generally finds themselves in the current life in story themes such as they have difficulty finding a feeling of safety, of feeling abundance, or that their needs are taken care of, that that anxiousness of not having enough seems to never go away, regardless of how much abundance financially, emotionally, with people around them comes into their life. Regardless how much food they have in their fridge, there's always just not enough. There's always this underlying tone of fear and anxiousness that it can be taken away in a second, and that it's completely out of their control. And there's always the fear of loss, of death. With people living with this storyline, which is very common, what I find the link that makes it clear that it's often in relation to past life trauma and not just something that they're here to work through in this lifetime that's been passed down through their parents or on an ancestral level, is that they'll often have an extreme empathy towards poverty, scarcity, starvation, famine, story themes similar to their past life on a global level currently. And that level of empathy, it's almost like they have difficulty allowing themselves to feel the safety of what they have achieved, what they have in their life, the abundance that they have. So they have difficulty finding that gratitude because they're still attached to what's happening on a global level, as if what's happening to other people is also currently happening to them. So there's not good boundaries with other people living the same current themes in this lifetime that they're not living their past life. It's coming from their past life. It's echoing in their frequency from their past life, but it's paralleling with current people experiencing that. And that resonance creates such a deep empathy that they're not able to release that trauma until it's happened on a global level, almost as if they still belong to that tribe that is having that experience of scarcity. And there's a certain level of loyalty that's connected to that. And that level of loyalty or belonging to that tribe isn't always on a conscious level. However, what is on a conscious level is a deep level of empathy that goes with that storyline, that theme that's currently happening in their present life. Ways to help ramify this particular storyline is to really help someone tap into their past lives and see the experiences that they had and really feel the suffering that they experienced to transform it, but then also to look for any contracts that they might have that they will always be loyal, that they will take certain responsibility for the people in that lifetime that are currently having that experience, for that storyline to be healed so that nobody ever experiences such hardship in their life. And that also ramifying any level of guilt that they might experience and transforming feelings of guilt that might come up as they really graduate that classroom and really allow themselves to feel and to receive abundance in their life again, financial stability in their life again, feeling healthy and good and provided for in their life again. The third common storyline I see in past life traumas that are blocking someone's capacity to manifest the life of their dreams is a lifetime where somebody was punished, excommunicated, or abused physically, emotionally, or mentally for their authentic self, their authentic presence. This trauma often create such a fragmentation between the personality and the soul's present that the imprint continues to move from a past life into this life when somebody is transitioning. And the full integration of the soul's blueprint, releasing the storylines and the experiences of the past life, does not get accomplished as the soul is transitioning into spirit realms. Now, this past life trauma, as it shows up in this lifetime, creates a storyline, a personality that has difficulty showing their authentic self to the world. So even though they might experience themselves fully alive, inspired, with great ideas, with opinions, when it comes time for self-expression, for communication, there will be a block. They won't be able to show their true voice, their authentic presence. Their life force will not move through them. There will be a blockage there. And they will just hide. They will dim their light. They will not fully shine in their entirety. And that block will create blockages of them being able to manifest what they are designed to bring into this world, because their entire life force is blocked. Their entire connection to their authentic soul presence, their higher vibration, higher frequency of their soul presence is dimmed. Often there will be manifestations of anxiety or chronic fatigue, low energy, depression that will be accomplished with this storyline, past life trauma, because there's a fragmentation in the life force. Their access to their own life force is blocked. So when I see story themes such as someone's more inwardly oriented, they're not able to manifest their life, there seems to be a disconnect between how they perceive themselves and how they're able to show up to the world and express that sense of self to the world. They always seem to lose their capacity to speak their truth. They tend to hide more than shine. When I find those themes together showing up in someone's life, I often will do deeper investigation to look at past lives and to see where this trauma blockage is in their energy centers, in their energy bodies. Where is it that we can find that past life, that storyline, the specific storyline theme that goes with them, to help them better understand what it is that they are looking to heal from that life, how to integrate that experience back into the present moment so that we can remove the blockages that are creating fragmentation between the expanded self and their personality, so that their soul essence, their life force, their power can fully be present and shining, taking up space, room in this lifetime. And in that full umph of their being, they can now begin to go into manifestation practices to bring in what it is that they are manifesting, to become that magnetic field for their desires, and let that magnetic field fuel their inspiration, motivation to take action that is aligned with their soul's blueprint, that is aligned with their deepest, truest desires and satisfactions. The fourth common storyline that shows up in practice of the past life trauma that is blocking someone from manifesting their desires is the theme of betrayal. Betrayal from someone deeply close, a beloved in a past lifetime. there are wounds that cut deeper than the physical wound. They are deeply emotional, psychological, spiritual. These wounds are so deep that they close the heart, and in that closing of the heart, a deep level of protection comes forth at the level of the heart, at the level of the heart energy center. And this blocks the capacity to that protection, blocks the capacity for the heart to heal. And that unhealed heart, with the theme of betrayal, moves from a past life to the next life. And it will show up in storylines in this present lifetime where somebody is incredibly protective over themselves. And that protection shows up with the incapability or willingness to have intimacy in this lifetime with others. And sometimes that intimacy can actually also be with oneself. So there's a disconnect in level of intimacy, open-heartedness, the feeling of their own emotions, their own emotional needs and desires. And that in that way, that protection, that protected heart becomes a prison for the soul and becomes a place of blockage, blocking the spirit, blocking the personality, the human, the desire to be able to manifest what they are desiring to manifest. For that blockage and that protection of the heart now does not allow the spirit one to feel their desires, to be open to the infinite possibilities of how those desires can be fulfilled. And in that process of protection and all the limitations that are created with that protection, there's a certain sense of frozenness, a frozenness in time, a frozenness in consciousness and in evolution that now echoes deep into being alive, embracing life, embracing the possibilities, even the ups and the downs and all the different directions of movement. So there we will see in the personality that there's less ups and downs or movement within the personality when it comes to emotions. They're going to be much more monotoned and much more closed and guarded, even when it comes to their own expression and how they show up and what they even reveal about themselves to others, let alone to themselves. And that creates a deep blockage for manifesting. The fifth common storyline I witness in practice as a past life trauma blocking one's ability to manifest the life of their dreams is souls that experience physical, emotional abuse, even mental abuse in a past life. And that weight, the weight of that trauma hangs over them like a dark cloud, heavy in their energetic system, lowering their vibration and their frequency, awakening the archetype of the victim, always disconnecting them from their power and their agency over their life. And that echoes from their past life into this lifetime, blocking their ability to manifest what it is that they are desiring to bring into this life. Often on a physical level, this will also show up as fibromyalgia, autoimmune disorder, chronic fatigue that comes from HPA axis disorder or stage 4 adrenal fatigue. Circumstances in life that keep someone in the themes of being a victim to the world around them, to the people around them, never being able to come into their power, taking agency over their life, being overtly codependent on other people or on the government, meaning financially they're in a situation where they need money from the government. Those are all ways that we will see this particular past life trauma show up in the present lifetime. When we come across this past life trauma, it's important to do the investigation to better understand where it is living somatically in the body, which energy system, which energy bodies, how it's influencing the mental body, the way one is perceiving themselves, others, the emotions and the thought forms that are formed based on those belief systems, and how they can go about transforming him is by remembering that past life, the themes in that past life, and bringing all of their power back that are trapped in that past life, taking their agency back in that lifetime, bringing it into the present lifetime to transform the frequency of that trauma in this lifetime, to remove the psychic cords between that past life and this life, sending back everything that doesn't belong to them back to the place where the abuse came from, and bringing all of their essence and severing that. Because the only way abuse, or the storyline of abuse, the perceptions that were created based on that abuse can maintain in our nervous system is if that energy is held versus sent back to the places and the people that it belonged to, and not have it be received. So that exchange needs to happen for someone to come back into their alignment, back into their heart, back into their soul's blueprint, into the present moment, into embodiment, grounded, to then begin to go into the practices of manifestation, coming from being a victim into being the most empowered version of themselves. And one would say, even perhaps the desire for manifestation, in part, is the desire to heal this past life trauma so that someone can live their life fully embodied and grounded in the present moment. One of the telling signs of a past life trauma is a pattern that refuses to budge. No matter what you do, how much you learn, explore, how much therapy you do, it seems to not change. Same patterning shows up as triggers or same way of reacting to things, or bringing in the same type of people into your life, different faces, same storylines, same results. All these are a sign that perhaps the root cause of what's happening is in a past life trauma and not this lifetime. And it's time to do some past life regression. There are 3 tools I use in practice to help someone access their past lives, to help them manifest the life of their dreams by transforming the blockages that are coming from their past lives. One of them is spiritual guidance and meditation that is hypnotic in its style, meaning the guided meditation is designed to help someone tap into a different brain wave. And in that process of stepping into a different brainwave, they expand their consciousness into a more cosmic consciousness. And in that process, they're able to awaken their inner vision, awaken their inner knowing, their capacity to hear messages from their expanded self, from their angels, from their guides, connect to the divine experts of the divine spirit world that is going to now guide them and help them navigate to look into those past lives. I recommend working with a practitioner to help you facilitate this process, a one-on-one process. If you choose to do this work on your own with a pre-recorded guided meditation that you deeply trust, and you are advanced enough as a meditator that you can take yourself into different brainwaves, make sure that you are holding the most sacred space for yourself, and make sure you bring in guides and loved ones of the divine spirit world that is going to fortify that sacred space even further as you go into that guided meditation, to make sure that the information that you are getting is clear, precise, to the point, for the purposes of healing and transforming and manifesting in this lifetime, and it doesn't become a distraction, or it doesn't give you false information or take you deeper into the frequency and the vibration of the trauma. It actually brings it forth only for the purposes of healing and transforming and transmuting and bringing you more into the present moment, making you stronger into the present moment, more fortified. You will know how to navigate that by how you feel after the work, right? After the work, you should feel more grounded, more present, have clarity on the subject matter, and have agency over the steps moving forward to healing yourself, healing the patterning, and a deep knowing that you are on the right trajectory and this is already transformed. You're just walking those steps at this point. The second tool I find in clinic to be very helpful is having someone go into free-form writing. Free-form writing is this magical process where somebody goes into a place of receptivity and into breath and really working in relaxing their body and bringing themselves fully into the present moment and just allowing themselves to write without any agenda of what that writing should be like, what it should look like, what it should say, how it should be expressed. So it's not, it goes out of the confinements of any rules of writing, any format of writing that you might have learned in school. And it's really about tapping into the most creative version energy coming from your higher self, pouring the words from your consciousness into the paper. And there's something when you're able to fully tap into that stream of consciousness and free form writing, there's something magical that happens with the words that come onto the paper, as if there's a release emotionally. The writing itself becomes about transforming the emotions as you are also simultaneously becoming knowledgeable about the topic. So after you finish the free form writing and it feels fully complete, make sure that you read over it a few times, meditate on it, and in that meditation, dive deeper to fully receive all the messages that are encapsulated into the words that have been poured onto the paper. And just as if like the first practice, it is incredibly important that you create a sacred space for yourself, that you always welcome in your guides, your angels, the divine experts that are going to hold the most sacred protective space for you and guide you and help you navigate the free form writing. The third tool I have found to be incredibly helpful is energy work such as Reiki with any form of sound healing. It could be anything from singing bowls to frequency music to working with tuning forks on acupuncture points or working on different energy centers. When energy work is accompanied with sound healing, vibrational healing, I found that we're able to tap into certain parts where somatically we are holding on to those past lives that sometimes you can't access through meditation or through free form writing, and some traumas just need to be released on a somatic level where they're held and they can't be released on a level of consciousness, on the mental body. They have to be released on the somatic level. And that's where energy work, sound healing becomes so powerful for traumas that are held somatically that need to be released at that level. You could do your own hands-on Reiki if you are certified as a Reiki healer, or if you are well versed in energy healing, or if you know how to work with sound bowls or tuning forks. There's something incredibly powerful about putting your own hands on your own healing. That being said, there's also something really beautiful about letting go and letting someone else hold sacred space for you and letting go of that process and going into just full openness. If you have the capacity to do your own work, I recommend doing a combination, doing a little bit of your own healing, but yet having someone else hold sacred space for you. And the combination I find is super powerful. When trapped emotions, traumas that are ready to heal come up when you're working somatically, especially if they come up when you're on your own, it's incredibly important that you clear the room, that you close your energy centers after, and you transform and send back the energy back to the place where it belongs, so it's not held in your living space. Make sure you really create sacred boundaries and tune into how you feel after. Tune in how you feel after the next day. And the tuning in, make sure it's on a somatic level as much as it is on a cognitive level. So mentally, how do I feel? What thoughts I'm having? How do I feel my emotions? And what is my level of embodiment? How open are my shoulders? How grounded do I feel in my body and my hips? Do I feel connected to the earth? How present I am embodied, connecting to the environment within my field? How expanded can I be, and how much space can I take in my life somatically? Those are all questions you can ask when you're working with yourself on a more somatic level after you go through past life regression work on a somatic level. I hope this has been helpful, the 3 tools, and you're able to work with it and navigate your own process. Please leave any comments below if you have any questions about it, if you even start doing your own work and things come up that you might need support around, or any questions I can answer for you. I'm more than happy to support you in any way that I can. Remember, your past doesn't define your power. Your healing does. And it begins the moment you choose it. As you begin your journey, your courageous journey into bringing awareness to past lives, where trauma still lives into your system in the present life, as you bring yourself onto this journey and explore the process of transmuting past life trauma, and bringing all of your power, all of your essence into the present moment so that you can co-create and manifest the life of your dreams from your soul's blueprint, from your expanded self, from alignment of to truth of who you truly are, that fulfillment of your purpose, why you are here, the purpose, how you are to serve yourself and the world around you and the universe. As you are in this process of living that version of you, of manifesting that version of you, and releasing the past, transforming the past into the present moment, into this version of you. Allow yourself to be in presence, to be in the present moment as relaxed as possible, in peace as possible with everything and anything that shows up, in the knowing that it's already done, in the knowing that it's already transformed, in the knowing that all that you desire is already here. You're just doing this gentle dance of transformation. There's no trying required. You're gently walking through the steps that are already there. There's no trying to create the steps. You're just stepping on the steps. The map is already there for you. You're just walking on the steps that the map is showing you. Allow your nervous system to keep falling back into the security, into the knowing, into being held by the universe, by your expanded self, of it already being completed and fulfilled. For this next portion, I just want to offer a gentle Reiki healing and guiding to help you tap into balancing and tuning in your energy centers and listening to any messages that might come up from your angels, from your guides in relation to any past life traumas or past life themes for you to bring awareness to, that will help you become a better manifester, a co-creator, a more empowered version of you that has agency over your life in the way that serves your highest good. and the highest good of the world. So allow yourself to go into a comfortable position, and you can be sitting upright, or you can be lying down, you can be standing. However it is that you can allow your body to fully relax and your mind and your consciousness to be fully present. And allow yourself to receive all that is going to serve your highest good. Become aware of your breath and open your heart. You are more than welcome to put your hands on your chest at the level of your heart if you find that will help you connect deeper. And as you connect into your heart energy center, be open to receiving this Reiki healing, this Reiki transmission, fine-tuning all of your energy centers, balancing all of your chakras, all of your energy centers, harmonizing them with all of your energy bodies, your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, cosmic, subtle bodies, harmonizing all of your energy centers with all of your meridians, all aspects of your consciousness, fortifying your auric field and your protection, asking the divine angels, guides, the divine experts of the spirit world to gather around you, your spirit team, to help you navigate this meditation. Allow your eyes to relax and roll back. Let the tip of your tongue touch the roof of your mouth, behind the front of your teeth. Let your breath fall deeper into the lower abdomen as you continue to open your heart and allow yourself to connect to your guides and your angels, going into a deep state of receptivity and listening. And we welcome your guides. We welcome your angels, the divine spirit world experts, to share any messages with you in regards to any past life themes, storylines that you should have awareness towards for the purposes of transforming, transmuting any trauma that is blocking your present life, your power to manifest your desires, your authentic presence. Bringing awareness to any soul fragmentations or pieces that are ready to unify into the present moment, any of your essence, your power, your gifts, anything and everything that is ready to integrate, heal, transform, transmute from any past life that is creating any form of blockage, and you being fully empowered, co-creating, manifesting the life of your dreams. Keep allowing yourself to receive guidance. To receive healing. To be open to transforming. And slowly bring your awareness back into the room. Into your body. Giving gratitude and appreciation to the divine spirit world, to your guides, to your angels, your spirit team, for all their love and support and guidance. And as you deepen your breath, slowly open your eyes. And just feel yourself. Just tune in to your experience. Now, this would be a good time for you to go into freeform writing to deepen this meditation and see if there's further information that wants to come through for you. You can come back to this portion over and over again and then go straight into freeform writing, or stay into the meditation even longer, or put your hands on yourself after and continue giving yourself your own healing energy. However it is that you feel called to in that moment to further your process of exploration, diving deeper into better understanding other lives you have lived that are currently needing healing in this lifetime. Feel free to leave any comments below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. You can always contact me through my email. You'll find it on my website.